December S&P 500 E-mini futures are up plus 0.91%, and December NASDAQ 100 E-mini futures are up 1.28% this morning, pointing to a sharply higher open on Wall Street as signs that the U.S. and China were nearing a trade deal boosted risk appetite at the start of a busy week. Top trade negotiators from the U.S. and China said on Sunday that they reached an initial consensus on multiple contentious issues, including tariffs, shipping fees, fentanyl, and export controls. With China's official Communist Party mouthpiece urged the world's biggest economies to jointly safeguard hard yuan. Achievements from recent trade negotiations ahead of Thursday's high-stakes meeting between U.S. I think we have a very successful framework for the leaders to discuss on Thursday.
This week, market participants will also focus on earnings reports from major tech names
and the Federal Reserve's interest rate decision. In Friday's trading session, Wall Street's major equity averages closed, rushing at record highs. Most members of the Magnificent Seven stocks advanced, with Alphabet
and NVIDIA gaining over 2%. Also, chip stocks rallied, with Advanced Micro Devices climbing more than 7% to lead gainers in the NASDAQ 100 and Micron Technology rising over 5%. In addition,
Ford Motors surged more than 12% and was the top percentage gainer on the S&P 500 after the automaker
reported better than expected Q3 results. On the bearish side, Decker's Outdoor plunged over 15%. It was the top percentage loser on the S&P 500 after the maker of Hoka sneakers and UGG boots issued disappointing full-year revenue guidance. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics report released on Friday showed that consumer prices, details in the report from our different studio.
Rose plus 0.3% MM in September, weaker than expectations of plus 0.4% MM. On an annual basis, headline inflation picked
up to plus 3.0% in September from plus 2.9% in August, weaker than expectations of plus 3.1%.
Volatile food and fuel prices rose plus 0.2% MM and plus 3.0% YY in September. Weak MM and plus 3.1% YY. In addition, the U.S. S&P Global Manufacturing PMI rose to 52.2 in October, stronger than
expectations of 51.9, and the S&P Global Services PMI rose to 55.2, stronger than expectations of 53.5.
At the same time, the University of Michigan's U.S. October Consumer Sentiment Index was revised lower.
Yes, I'm telling you, the inflation data confirms our analysis. We need to short the index immediately.
The reports are dropping now. Look at the volume spiking.
But did they beat the consensus on revenue?
Including Microsoft, Alphabet, Meta Platforms, Apple, Dell, Amazon.com,
Eli Lilly, AbbVie, MasterCard, Visa, ServiceNow, Caterpillar, United Health,
UNH, Boeing BA, ExxonMobil XOM, and Chevron CVX, according to Bloomberg Intelligence.
Companies in the S&P 500 are expected to post an average 7.2% increase in quarterly earnings for Q3.
Compared to the previous year, marking the smallest rise in 2 years. Market watchers will also keep
the central bank is widely expected to cut the Fed funds rate by 25 basis points to a range of 3.75% to 4%.
Particularly after last Friday's mostly favorable September inflation data. Investors will pay close attention to the Fed's.
We're looking for clues on how fast the Fed will move.
The data suggests a front-loaded easing cycle, likely starting sooner and falling further than expected. Money markets have almost fully priced in a follow-up rate cut in December. In other trade news,
announced a series of agreements aimed at securing access to critical minerals and expanding a market for U.S.
agricultural products. He offered exemptions from his reciprocal tariffs on key exports from Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam.
Currently stand at 35%, with energy products at 10%, though goods that meet the terms of the U.S.-Mexico-Canada
agreement are exempt from the duties. Meanwhile, the U.S. government shutdown has entered its 27th day.
With no clear resolution in sight. If the government shutdown continues, the publication of official U.S.
economic data scheduled for this week, including the advance estimate of third quarter gross domestic product
and weekly jobless claims, and the September PCE inflation report will be delayed. This leaves
and the National Association of Realtors pending home sales data. The shutdown has likely already shaved 0.45 percentage points off fourth quarter annualized GDP growth.
In the bond market, the yield on the benchmark 10-year U.S. Treasury note is at 4.025%, up plus 0.70%.
The Euro Stoxx 50 index is up plus 0.32% this morning as signs of easing trade tensions between the U.S.
of an agreement reached over the weekend. A survey released on Monday showed that German business
morale improved slightly in October, as companies anticipate the economy will gain momentum next year.
Separately, data showed that bank lending to Eurozone businesses dipped slightly in September, but remained close to two-year highs.
Separately, data showed that bank lending to Eurozone businesses dipped slightly in September.
The Fed announcement is imminent. We need to hedge the European exposure now.
I agree, but look at the overnight probabilities for the ECB. They are shifting rapidly.
This week, including those from the European Central Bank and the Federal Reserve, the ECB is widely scrutinized for any indications of a potential further rate cut in the coming months, just hours before the ECB's rate decision. Preliminary Eurozone GDP data will shed light on the impact caused so far. Guidance and reporting Q3 earnings in line with last month's profit warning. Germany's IFO business
Climate Index was released today. The German October IFO Business Climate Index came in at 88.4, stronger
than expectations of 88.1. Asian stock markets today closed in the green. China's Shanghai Composite
Index closed up plus 1.18%, and Japan's Nikkei 225 stock index closed up plus 2.46%.
China's Shanghai Composite Index closed higher and hit a new 10-year high today, amid signs that the U.S.
and China were nearing a trade agreement. Technology stocks, which analysts say would benefit
the most from the U.S. China trade deal, outperformed on Monday. Trade negotiators from China
and the U.S. announced on Sunday that they had reached a series of agreements covering tariffs, shipping fees.
Our analysis at Everbright Securities suggests that despite global volatility, the Gyeongju Economic Zone.
Investors have been sitting on the sidelines watching trade talks for a while, and the weekend
developments were a pretty positive surprise. Sentiment was further boosted by data showing that China
industrial profits grew at their fastest pace in nearly 2 years in September. Industrial profits jumped 21.6%.
from a year earlier in September, following a 20.4% increase in August, according to the National Bureau of Statistics.
The latest increase was fueled by last year's low base and government initiatives
to curb excess capacity. Investor attention this week is also on China's official PMIs for October.
China's economic activity is expected to remain weak but stable in October.
Research strategist Xiaopeng Xing. In addition, investors will keep an eye on the financial.
We must continue to open our financial markets while maintaining strict control over systemic risks and ensuring long-term stability.
Climbed over 4% in Hong Kong after the pharmaceutical company posted strong Q3 results
and raised its full-year guidance. Japan's Nikkei 225 stock index closed sharply higher today,
topping the psychologically important 50,000 mark for the first time as signs of easing.
The China news is driving massive volume. We're looking at a record close. Get me another 50,000 shares. This rally is just getting started.
Implement measures to stimulate the economy. In addition, there was optimism surrounding
from the Bank of Japan released on Monday, they showed that a leading indicator of Japan's
the central bank's view that rising labor costs will help keep inflation anchored around its 2% target.
African-American investors are also awaiting the BOJ's monetary policy decision later this week, where the central
bank is expected to keep its benchmark rate unchanged at 0.5%.
The policy board has reached a decision. We have a divided vote. The central bank will now release its quarterly assessment.
経済の見通しと政策形成系、日本の失業率と産業についてが
production data, along with Tokyo's CPI figures due on Friday, will further clarify the country's
an economic picture. In addition, East Asian market participants will pay attention to results from companies such as Advantest Corp, as the earnings season picks up steam. The Nikkei Volatility Index,
which takes into account the implied volatility of Nikkei 225 options, closed up plus 12.74% to 28.68.
In pre-market trading, the Magnificent Seven stocks are leading the charge.
Gaining more than plus 1%. Chip stocks advanced in pre-market trading, with Micron Technology and
Marvell Technology climbing over plus 3%. Rare earth stocks slumped in pre-market trading.
Amid signs of easing trade tensions between the U.S. and China, Ramaco Resources METC
is down over minus 5%, and MP Materials is down more than minus 4%. You can see more pre-market stock movers here. Today is U.S. earnings spotlight, Monday, October 27th. Welltower, ticker WELL.
RVTY, Rambus RMBS, Crane CR, Biomarin Pharma BMRN, Amcor AMKR, CFLT, Simpson Manufacturing SSD, Avies CAR, NOV NOV, Ameris ABCB Noble NE,
Kilroy Hattie, Dorman, Whirlpool, Agilicis Team, Alliance Resource Mandy,
Olin, Seacoast Banking Florida, Bank of Hawaii, NBT Bancorp.
Northwest Bankshares ticker NWBI, H2O America HTO, Daco New Energy DQ, and NetStripe.
Welcome after watching our detailed report. And to watch more news like this, please subscribe to our channel, like, and comment.